Okay, we've just heard that NUM is also calling on Energy Minister Jeff Radebe to be fired. For more on this story, I'm joined in studio by eNCA's Govan Whittles. Govan, you were conducting that interview. Good to see you, by the way. And obviously, more names are coming out.
Indeed.
Besides Jabu Mabuza.
Indeed. Of course, in that clip we just played, we heard that Phakameni Hadebe was also someone that the NUM believes should be removed as the Eskom CEO. But now they're also saying that they don't have confidence in Jeff Radebe as the energy minister. And this is because Radebe was apparently reluctant to meet with the NUM to discuss a number of issues, including the independent power producers, but also the energy mix and how that relates to Eskom, as in how they would supplement the power in an event of the coal power stations not being able to produce electricity. And what we heard from the NUM today is that they've never been able to meet with Jeff Radebe unless President Cyril Ramaphosa was also in the room. And that was the case on Monday when the union met with the government officials. It was a meeting held by President Cyril Ramaphosa with Pravin Gordhan and Jeff Radebe also discussing matters. So it seems as if the NUM is not happy with Jeff Radebe. They're saying that he should also go because it seems like he has hatred towards the NUM. And William Abapa, in another section of the interview, saying we're the type of union that when a new minister is employed in our sector, within the first 48 hours, they call us because they know how important we are as the union. They seem to certainly be taking umbrage here.
Now, when we go back to that meeting that was held where Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan was there, Energy Minister Jeff Radebe was also there, the President was there. One wonders whether that conversation also took place. I know they're keeping mum on a lot of things. What do we know transpired in that meeting?
Well, we know that the meeting was called because the NUM was not consulted regarding the government's decision to unbundle Eskom. So they joined the rest of the nation when hearing the news for the first time from Ramaphosa in the State of the Nation address. And since then, they've tried to consult with the government on various matters, especially whether or not the unbundling would lead to the privatization of Eskom. But we also know that Cyril Ramaphosa, the president, is also the founding general secretary of the National Union of Mineworkers and has maintained a close relationship with the union since coming into office as the president of the country. This meeting was to explain the unbundling decision and how that would impact on Eskom. And the NUM says they've managed to get two assurances from Ramaphosa that there won't be retrenchments at Eskom, and the unbundling of Eskom, the NUM says, will mean that the entity will remain 100% state control. Those are the two promises that Ramaphosa has given to the NUM in that meeting. But of course, they're not entirely happy with that. They'll still be marching to the ANC's Letuli House headquarters. That's because they want a written agreement which commits to the same decisions that they took in this meeting. And
it's interesting that these comments are coming after the meeting was held as well, where I'm sure the two parties gave each other assurances, which begs the question. Then you look at the fact that the president and the two key ministers go and meet the NUM. How significant is this union to the ANC, especially when you look, we've got an election in about, 6 weeks' time?
That's right. You really can't look at this meeting without considering the elections that are coming up. And as we saw in that clip, the NUM putting aside 2 million rand to campaign for the ANC ahead of the elections. What's interesting here is that the NUM says it'll march to the ANC's office to get that assurance in writing because it's afraid that if it campaigns for the ANC towards the elections, the government might just implement retrenchments on May the 9th or May the 10th. So they want an assurance that what they're campaigning for now won't be reversed after the elections. But here is another classic example of the ANC and the government making sure that all of its election structures are in place. Of course, COSATU, a huge part of the ANC's election machinery with its reach across the country and the country's mines being a huge pool for the ANC to draw support from, particularly in areas such as the Northwest and the Free State and Limpopo, where they have seen a somewhat reduction of their vote in certain areas.
And one imagines they would want to speak to the Minister of Energy, Jeff Radebe, because of the IPPs.
They would indeed, and they've tried to schedule that meeting at this meeting on Monday, the minister said that they would be able to bring aboard IPPs to Eskom without Eskom losing additional money. Now, the NUM isn't convinced because, of course, you can produce coal energy for around 80 cents a kilowatt or 50 cents a kilowatt, and the NUM is saying that the IPP's energy is around 2 rand a kilowatt. They want the minister to come back to them with the National Energy Regulator of South Africa and show them the math to prove that this won't have a negative financial impact on Eskom. They're saying they want that meeting to happen as soon as possible, but of course they're also calling for him to go because he's reluctant to meet with them.
Okay, interesting times. We'll go, but you stay on that story. Thanks for chatting with us.